Hello guys, today we're going to be reacting to another video by Melanie Phillips. I'm starting to like her content from. I saw we did a video before on her, and today we're going to do a video on her called The Bizarre Union of the Woke and Jihad by Melanie Phillips. Now last time we talked about it a bit, we touched on it a little bit because it had to do a bit with the video at the time. But here we're going to talk about being wokeism and jihadism. Why are they aligning when in fact they should be the most obvious enemies of the political spectrum right now? They are one of the most opposing ideas, especially on feminism, on what LGBT rights. They're always on the opposite side of the spectrum, yet they are in alliance.
With Islamists, it's quite comical if it wasn't so awful, because the Islamists would basically, kill them, some of them, for what they stand.
I think a lot of the left, the woke people, the leftists, they don't really appreciate what Christianity did for the West. Christianity really changed the West into a place where you are allowed to have ideas. It comes from even quotes from Jesus himself saying things like keep the state, like give to Caesar what belongs to Caesar. It propagated separating the state and the church. This was one of the first situations in history where religion and state were two different things. And this is very important to the West in that it keeps people, it allows people to have ideas that are not basically religious ideas, that you can have things opposing the mainstream ideas which were propagated by the mainstream religion. And they don't really appreciate that other countries don't have this. For example, Islamic countries have the exact opposite of this. You cannot separate the country from the religion, the leaders from the religion. The leaders are chose based on the religion. The leaders behave based on the laws in the courtroom are the same as the laws in the religion.
And for, women's rights, gay rights.
The important thing is without debate. That is, it's written down, it will not change.
I mean, these things are inimical to Islamic society, but they are bound together by a common aim, even though the society they want to have they are polar opposites, but they're bound together by the common aim of destroying the West and hatred of Jews and Israel. And this.
So, a common thing, like she said, a common thing is hatred for the West. The Islamic nations, the jihadists, they do not like the left. They do not like the West in general. They do not like the West. Mostly, any Christian-based thoughts, they are not for that. Secondly, they do not like the West because of liberalism that is there in the first place. Yet they are aligning with the liberals on the situation. So it's a very weird alliance.
This is enough to keep them on the streets together. But I think, as you were suggesting, there's actually a much deeper.
She actually said the alliance is confusing, if not comical, and I get that. It's either it's a joke or it's or it's something very complicated.
Set of connections. And one of the most important is this inversion of reality. The Islamic world, as I understand it, is dominated, unfortunately, at the moment by people who believe that Islam is perfection and the rest of the world is basically the work of the devil. And so anything that happens in the Islamic world is good, and anything that happens in the other world, in the non-Islamic world, is bad. And so...
Yeah, I was actually talking about this in the last video, talking about feeling like you're more morally correct always. I actually talked about the Islamic world and feeling like they are morally above everyone else. This is a very dangerous. This is also one other thing they have in common with the left, feeling morally on top of everyone else, feeling like everyone else, no matter what they do, they are morally false. Whatever I do, I'm morally correct. This is where the alliance comes. This is where the alliance comes. Feeling like a morally superior ideology. Okay.
If Muslim.
It also touches on what I was saying about wokeism becoming and leftism becoming sort of like a pseudo religion, sort of behaving sort of like it is a religion, just as like the Islam is behaving, the wokeism is behaving sort of like a religion in itself.
Commit terrible crimes, human bomb attacks. In this framework of thinking, they are always acting in self-defense. They're always acting in defense of the world of Islam, because they are doing the work of God. And the people they have murdered are basically bad people, and they're only killed because they were attacking Islam. It's a complete inversion. When you come to the Palestinian cause, that's exactly what it is. They accuse Israel of doing precisely what they're doing, but of which Israel is innocent.
So on October 7th, they killed a lot of people and took hostages. But these guys still have like the audacity to say, we were right in that situation. Like, we were right for coming into your country and taking in hostages and killing many innocent people. I saw videos, I will leave the link in the description of the site, where they performed terrible things on this day, killed many innocent people, and raped women and took hostages. This was a terrible day for Israel, and I sympathize with them on that. But I feel like they still, the Palestinians still feel like the Hamas, let's not say the Palestinians, let's not conflate the Palestinians with Hamas, because there are some people who don't support Hamas in Palestine, but Hamas actually felt like they were doing the right thing. They felt like in God's eyes, we are the perfect people, we are doing the right thing, we are helping people, yet doing such terrible things. And I feel like that's a very terrible state to be in.
Palestinian Arabs want the ethnic cleansing of every Jew from a future state of Palestine, and they accuse the Jews of ethnic cleansing, the Jews of Israel. I mean, it was the Arab world which really ethnically cleansed 850,000 Jews from the entire Arab world, a world in which they had lived since antiquity, after Israel was created, and they were expelled because they were Jews. So that was ethnic.
Now, if you don't know much about this, Jews and Muslims have never been friends. Even back to the time of Muhammad, you see cases of this in the Quran. And the Muslims, the movement always does things like accuses Jews of killing Jesus and being unclean and changing God's words, things like that. Like there's a verse in the Quran that talks about them changing the God's words with their mouths. So the Jews and the Muslims historically have not been the best of friends. Now, especially now, there's conflict for things like holy places like Jerusalem, Bethlehem, and stuff like that. They are not going to be friends. They don't get along.
Cleansing. So the Palestinian cause accuses Israel falsely. Now, the Western liberal falls for that for two reasons. First of all, it believes in the Palestinian cause because it believes that gives itself, as a progressive world, moral worth, but also because the progressive liberal mindset has also been to invert reality.
Now, before I talked about the woke people making a religion out of wokeism, I talked about also in the last video about them making gods out of other things, making gods out of minorities, for example, minority groups. They have a situation where they feel like minorities are always on the right. Like, if minorities do something, that is the right thing to be done. If people are this comes from resentment for history between the majority and the minority in the US and in the West in general. Historically, the majority has not been on the right side of the minorities in the West. The black people have been mistreated, the Hispanics have been mistreated, the Asians have been mistreated. But so they project this onto other countries, like other regions. It's not even one country, but other regions like Israel. So they are thinking the Jews are the majority. Hence, the minorities, the Palestinians, must be correct.
It was decades ago that the West told itself, that Western intellectuals told themselves that objective truth was no more. there was no such thing as absolute or objective truth is quite clearly, in this way of thinking, a complete intellectual cretin. Only, sophisticated people know that everything is a matter of opinion. Feelings trump facts. And if there are no such things...
Here we disagree a bit on this. I feel like they are sort of I don't believe in moral relativism. I think this is where she's touching on a little bit. Not everything, I don't feel like everything is a matter of opinion, because then would they have to say things like murder being wrong is someone's opinion. I feel like there are certain things that we all know are wrong, but someone has to convince us they are correct in some situations. For example, we all know that killing someone is bad, but something convinces you to do it for other reasons, whether it might be greed, whether it might be pride, whether it might be religious, whether it might be cultish, something that on those lines will convince you that what you're doing is right, although innately you know that this is not the right thing. No one is born a killer, no one is born a rapist, no one is born. People learn these things as they grow up due to ideas they are being fed and the environment they grow in, and things like trauma and things like that.
There's no such thing as truth. There is no such thing as a lie. And consequently, you cannot have a distinction between truth and lies. It's only a matter of opinion. So if I say that the Israelis are the victims of ethnic cleansing and or the attempted ethnic cleansing and attempted genocide, that's only my opinion, according to this mindset. So,
okay, I think I had misread. She's actually on my side. She's actually talking about moral relativism not being true. She's actually talking about there being actual truth and actual lies. That like there is an actual truth. It's not subjective truth. It is the truth that they have been the victims of ethnic cleansing over the years, even historically in even past times, hundreds of years ago, they have been historically the victim of ethnic.
If you get rid of truth, you get rid of rationality, and you open the way to what we have developed, which is the belief that, as Oprah Winfrey said to Meghan Markle, your truth. You have your truth, I have my truth. Well, excuse me, I mean, what's she talking about? She's talking...
Okay, I just wanted to add on this. She said, you get rid of truth, you get rid of rationality. This explains a lot about, you should watch the video on when I was talking about why the left always reacting to a video by her as well, when she was talking about why the left always loses arguments or debates. You get rid of truth, you get rid of rationality. If you think that there is no truth, there is no point in debating in the first place. Because the point of debating is to prove that what you're saying is the truth. If I don't have facts, but still believe that it's the truth, then we're not doing anything by debating. We're just wasting our time. If we're not trying to find what the actual truth is, if the actual truth doesn't exist, there is no point in having rationality in the first place.
Well, opinions, and she's talking at the worst level about, lies being...
I always hate that term, my truth. There is no such thing as your truth, there is the truth. If it's not the truth, it's not a truth. That's just how our reality works. It might be that you believe that something is true. That doesn't mean it is true. You're just wrong.
Someone else's truth. It's a mind-frying kind of hijack of language that we're living through, but going on.
That's a topic for another day. Actually, hijacking language by the wokies, by the woke movement. Hijacking language is making a lot of people confused about where they stand on these matters. If you hijack language, you hijack people's minds, because you hijack what they say on a daily basis, and you hijack how they think on a daily basis.
What have we created in the West, in the progressive West, as a result of this business of, it's my truth, everything's a matter of opinion, my feelings trump facts, it's all to do with the individual. You know, what the individual wants, what the individual says, what the individual feels is what is. And that has led to our victim culture, in which I feel oppressed by you, and because I feel oppressed by you, I am oppressed by you.
I believe it until it is true. This is a bad state of mind to be in for the person who feels they're oppressed and the person they're accusing of them of oppressing them, because neither of these people are going to be happy from then on. This one is going to be blaming this one for oppressing them. This one is going to be feeling guilty for oppressing these ones. So for both of them, no one is going to be happy going onwards. No one is going to improve going onwards. Nothing is going.
Even though I may have been absolutely dreadful to you and have caused you to lose your job and all your social circle and all your prospects, but nevertheless, I'm the victim of you. So it's that kind of inversion that you can do no right because you are an oppressor group. You are white, you are male, you are Christian, you are Western, whatever it is, you're an oppressor group, therefore you can do no right. And I am black.
This also touches on why the left cares more about I always wondered why the left cares more about the Gaza and the West Bank, the wars having to do with Israel, than they do about for example, the killings that were done by Boko Haram and other terrorist groups within Africa. Part of it has to do with, I feel like they always say Black Lives Matter, but they don't really care about Black lives, especially African people. That's one of the things. The other thing is they feel like Christians are the oppressor. So the oppressor can never be oppressed in any situation. If they are attacked in Africa, that would mean they were in the wrong in the first place. So they're always on the side of the non-Christians. So in this case, the black card trumps the Christian card trumps the black card in the situation. They may be oppressed mostly because the oppressors and the oppressed are both black. So they may be oppressed by the jihadists, the Muslims who want to create a caliphate in Nigeria. But because they're Christians, we can't pay attention to them.
I come from a developing world.
Basically conflating the wrongs of other people with the rights of the others. We are associating them based on religion alone, saying that the person who did this to me was Christian, hence all Christians are bad.
World, country, I am not conventionally gendered or sexualized, whatever it is. I define myself as a minority victim group. I can therefore do no wrong because I'm a victim.
As I said before, making gods out of minorities. Minorities can do.
Must be the victim of you, even though I have told lies about you, I have damaged you. This is irrelevant. Because I feel that I'm a victim, I am a victim. So you have a Western progressive mindset, which, because it's abolished truth and reason, and because it's embraced hyper-individualism and victim culture, has inverted reality. So you have an absolute match between the liberal progressive mindset, which inverts reality for its purposes, and the Islamic mindset, which inverts reality for its purposes.
Okay, I think we'll end there. I just wanted to give a final thought on. I've always wanted to touch on the fact that of the religion part of the religious aspect of the wokeism part. She's saying that the inverted reality. This is a good way of describing it. Whatever is not based in reality is based in something supernatural. You're believing in something that is extra, that is not of this world. Now that is in itself religious. If you are believing in something, it might not be theist, or it might not be Trinitarian, whatever any religion believes in. It might not be believing in gods as per se, but it is religious in the first place. It believes there is something beyond this world. They believe in a reality that is not the reality that we're living in. So that's an aspect of religion that I always see on the left. So Thank you for watching the video. Just like and subscribe, and I'll see you.
So you have a marriage made in hell?